connaît, tendez, vos paroles à parler.
Welcome to Haiti, The Struggle Continues, a program that is dedicated to bring you the latest news and analysis from Haiti. This is yet another part of our continuing special on WBAI in New York, 99.5 FM. Today's program, we have an update segment. We also will have interviews and analysis on the latest OAS resolution that was voted to deblock funds to Haiti. And also we're going to have a segment addressing the crisis at the State University of Haiti. And we will debate the banking debacle that's going on with the cooperatives of Haiti. Here in the studio with me, we have Kim Ives.
Good morning, Margaret.
And Christian Lemoine.
Good morning, Margaret.
And Marcus Olson is there. Good morning, Earl. Good morning. And also by phone, we're going to have Anne Hastings directly from Haiti, along with Yannick Etienne, that will address some of these issues with us. Stay tuned.
Earlier this month, President Jean-Bertrand Aristide traveled to Johannesburg to take part in the World Summit for Sustainable Development, also called the Earth Summit. In his address, he made note of the dire condition of Haiti's environment. For example, 3 centuries ago, 98% of Haiti was covered by forests. Today, less than 2% of that vegetation remains. On August 29th, 2 Haitian groups, the Support Group for the Repatriated and Refugees, or GAR, and the Haitian Advocacy for an Alternative Development Program, or PAPTA, issued a statement noting the irony of the Haitian government's hand-wringing over Haiti's deforestation. Quote, "We question the commitment of the government," the 2 groups wrote, "when since April 2002 it has chosen to undertake a process of desertification of the agricultural plain of Mari Barahou on Haiti's northeast frontier by planning to pave over this green space and set up a free trade zone for textile factories on nearly 320 acres of land." End quote. As we have mentioned in earlier shows, this fertile plain has the capacity to produce about 30,500 tons of food, which can feed 500,000 people for a year. Furthermore, Haiti has sold 1,875 square kilometers, about 10% of Haiti's territory, along the entire length of the Haitian-Dominican border to a U.S.-controlled corporation, which intends to expropriate thousands of peasants to build dozens of free trade zones, as well as airports, highways, and tourist resorts. Quote, laying down tons of concrete on the Maribahu Plain in Haiti, in the vicinity of the Maska River, and putting textile factories which will eventually discharge chemical products will upset the ecological equilibrium of the area on both the Haitian and Dominican sides, said Maxima Peña, a Dominican educator who runs an ecological camp for young Haitians and Dominicans. In their note, Gar and Papta noted that Article 253 of the Haitian Constitution specifically forbids, quote, any practices which might disturb the ecological equilibrium in Haiti.
Thank you, Kim, for this update on the situation regarding the free trade zones in Haiti. My name is Christian Lemoyne. Welcome to Haiti, The Struggle Continues. This is WBI. You're listening to 99.5 FM in New York. We're going to be going to Yannick Etienne from Bataille Ouvrier to give us an update on the situation of the Guasimal workers in Haiti, which is quite a stark human rights crisis affecting workers struggling to defend their rights. Big landowners and factory owners in Haiti regularly bust unions, repress and abuse workers with impunity, often with the collusion of authorities. Most workers in Haiti are paid less than $1.50 a day, and they are fired quite regularly for just claiming their rights. On May 27th of this year, a group of thugs led by local authorities and landowners murdered 2 union organizers, Francilien Exiné and Ifares Guerrier, and arrested 11 others in an attempt at busting the Guasimal Workers Union, a member of the Bataille Ouvrier Union Federation. The union workers were claiming their rights to farm between harvests on the Guasimal plantation, where oranges had been produced for Cointreau since 1958, as they had done by contract for almost 50 years. The prisoners were falsely accused of being terrorists and land robbers. Quite a catchy thing these days. To be tagged a terrorist is very handy in terms of the repression apparatus. They were then flown to national jails in Port-au-Prince. 2 unionists are still jailed illegally. They have not been charged with any crime. And after close to 4 months, we see that the victims are still in prison while the assassins walk free. We go now to Yannick Etienne, a representative of Bataille Ouvrier in Port-au-Prince, to give us an update on this situation. Hi, Yannick. How are you doing?
Hi, Howard. I'm okay. Okay. Well, the last thing that, yes, the two people are still in prison, and they are now in Grande Rivière du Nord. It's in the northern part of Haiti, which is the jurisdiction that they're supposed to be. Because when you are arrested in a particular place, this is where all the legal proceeding must take place. But since they accuse them of being terrorists, they send them to the prison in Port-au-Prince. But what happened, and they send them back to Grande Rivière du Nord, and they've been, the judge talked to them and asking them questions, and then now we're waiting for a decision from the judge who spoke to the two comrades who are still in jail. So we hope we'll get a quick decision fast, so that if not, we will have to continue the mobilization to get their release. And that's on one thing concerning the Guasimal thing. And the second group, talking about the people who died, we are trying to get an authorization from Mr. Zephyr, the plantation owners, to have a religious service at the site where they were killed, assassinated. And so we hope to get this authorization And so by maybe probably the beginning of October, we'll have that religious service for at the burial site. And so we are working on that aspect of it.
Yannick Etienne, this is Kim Ives from Haiti Progress. I wanted to know, have there been formal charges weighed against the two remaining Guatemala prisoners?
No.
And is the judge leaning towards release or continuing with a trial?
Well, actually, it's not the trial has not started yet. They are what they call instructing what happened. They want to know what happened, and yes, so the case is not already on trial. So we're talking about the judge asking questions to see who should be put in jail or not, who should be questioned or not. So that's the point. That's where we are. So the two people, and they didn't release them with the other members of the union members because the judge felt that he needed to ask more questions. Yeah, so that's the reason he said that he kept the two of our people in jail. So far, they have been questioned, and so we hope that he will have his report. I'm talking about the judge and his final decision.
Yannick Etienne.
There's no charge.
Yannick Etienne, this is Christian. Now, does Bataille Ouvrier see this as an isolated rural incident, or do you see this as more of an overall campaign to repress worker struggles in light of the free trade zone agreements, in light of the pressures from the International Monetary Fund to maintain low wages in Haiti?
Yeah, I guess it's part of the whole program. Talking about the way that the government is dealing with workers' issues, and actually, the workers have particularly, they have the rights on papers, but whenever they have to fight, they have to win something, they have to fight, and the government is always put on the side of the factory owners or the plantation owners. So what happened at Guasimao, it's like they want to set an example that when workers are demanding for the rights, so that could happen. They could falsely and accuse them of anything. Like these days and they could accuse you of anything. And when they accuse you of being terrorists, it's a political way of dealing with union issues, workers' issues. So instead of dealing with the problem, they want to put it on another. They want to deal on a political basis, and I think this is a way of dealing with the problems. This government has no program, nothing at all. So this government has to wherever there's a problem, whenever people are in the street or asking, demanding. And so they could have a better housing, have electricity, water, or have better salary, and that's the way the repression comes, and then the people have to suffer. And so the people at Guasimao, the union in Guasimao, they've been demanding for and trying to have a negotiation with the plantation owners. But the plantation owners never received them, and they've been trying. And you see what happened on May the 27th, and then having a meeting on the plantation, and then they got their thugs and the people with arms and killed two people, and not only arresting, beating, and people, and put fires. And after May 27, that's the third thing I was going to say. I was going to say, the workers, the people have to leave their houses, and some of them, and they're still having trouble to going back to the Guasimao area because they burn the houses, or the thugs are still there. The people that we call are still the people from the local authorities are putting a big repression there. So we still have a lot of difficulties.
Well, thank you very much, Yannick. We're going to have to move on to our next segment. But briefly, what are the plans in terms of the continuing campaign to get the release of these prisoners?
We hope the people will stay on top, keep getting the updates. So we're waiting for a decision from the judge. But meanwhile, we are mobilizing all the people, all the organizations, human rights organizations, NGOs, and other social movements, and to have the people released. So we're still fighting to get their release. And so, the judge decision may take a little time. We don't know when, but we still have to continue to move, to mobilize people to have their release. And we hope that people in outside of Haiti will continue to send letters of protest, continue to support and the struggle here in Haiti. So, and also we hope that they could support us to have that religious service, because in Haiti, without a religious service, people feel really, really bad, and it would be very sad if we do not have that religious ceremony at the site of the burial site of the two people. So we're working on those things. So we hope to have the support and political support, mobilizing, talking to people, and also financial support.
Well, thank you very much, Yannick. We're going to have to break now.
Thank you.
And we'll be giving details later on how our listeners who want to build solidarity with these efforts can join in these struggles.
Thank you, Christian. You're listening to Haiti, The Struggle Continues on WBAI 99.5 FM Community Radio in New York. We move now to the crisis in the cooperative sector in Haiti. Hundreds of angry demonstrators took to the streets in cities around Haiti last week, as they have all this month, to demand that the Haitian government restitute the deposits they lost when dozens of popular banks, known as cooperatives, collapsed earlier this year. Last year, these banks mushroomed all over Haiti as part of a so-called cooperative movement encouraged by President Jean-Bertrand Aristide. In theory, cooperatives were supposed to democratize the economy by offering alternatives to the Haitian bourgeoisie's monopoly control of key economic sectors like banks and import-export companies. Most of the cooperatives spawned were unregulated banks and credit unions offering mind-boggling interest rates of up to 15%, enticing people in Haiti and abroad to mortgage their homes and empty their savings accounts to sink them into cooperative accounts that seemed too good to be true. They were. Most cooperatives have now closed, and many of their directors have fled the country. In July, Aristide had promised to reimburse fleece depositors before September 2nd, the start of the school year, despite Haiti's $100 million budget deficit, a record. Demonstrators say there have been no reimbursements, while the government claimed last Thursday that 10 million gourds, about $370,000, have been released for compensations. Over 27,000 people have filed claims with the government, totaling some $250 million, more than 65% of the Haitian national budget. Most demonstrators hold Aristide responsible for the misfortune, saying he misled them by endorsing the cooperatives as people's capitalism and for not adequately regulating them. To take a closer look at cooperatives in Haiti and their present crisis, we are joined from Port-au-Prince by Anne Hastings, the director of Fonds Causé, which is not a cooperative but serves the same clientele. Fonds Causé calls itself Haiti's alternative bank for the organized poor. Anne Hastings, welcome to the show. Anne, are you there? Looks like we have lost Anne Hastings. We are going to try to get her back on the line, and we'll move now. We'll move on to another segment. And that segment will be...
Well, you're listening to Haiti, The Struggle Continues. My name is Christian Lemoyne. This is WBAI 99.5 FM in New York. Since June of this year, there has been a developing crisis in the State University in Haiti. A complex situation has emerged with the removal of Dr. Pacquiao, the State University Director, affiliated with anti-Aristide opposition parties, and allegations of government interference and takeover of the university. The resulting struggles have been widely characterized in the press as a feud between Aristide's government and the hodgepodge of opposition, mostly right-wing and corrupt parties, grouped under the banner of the so-called Democratic Convergence. We go now to an interview recorded on August 26 with Professor Jean-Yves Blot, Associate Dean of the Department of Ethnology of the State University of Haiti, which presents a different point of view, framing this developing struggle in the State University of Haiti around the defense of the university's autonomy, a fundamental democratic right guaranteed under the Haitian Constitution and fought for since 1986, after the overthrow of Duvalier. Professor Jean-Yves, what is the origin of the crisis affecting the university? This crisis stems from the way that the government has intervened in the running of the State University. It started out as a conflict over the internal elections of the university to choose its next director. There's a university council made up of 3 representatives from each of the 11 schools of study in the university. Each school is represented by a student, a dean, and a professor. Since 1994, the University Council, made up of these 33 representatives, has had final say over the running of the university. This council elects the university director and the 2 associate directors. There was an election held in June which did not result in the election of a new university director because of the poor qualifications of the candidates. The council then asked Dr. Pacquiao, the then incumbent university director, to continue presiding over the current affairs of the university until new elections could be held. At that time, Pacquiao also submitted his candidacy for an additional term as State University Director. A pro-Aristide student group, which calls itself CIF, the Inter-University Commission, but which many students widely refer to as a pro-Aristide goon squad, then staged a hunger strike to protest Pacquiao's candidacy, although in a democratic process, Pacquiao has the right to be a candidate. As a result of this hunger strike, an appeal was made through the courts to declare the university directorship vacant, and the Minister of Education, Mrs. Myrto Celestin, then completely bypassed the University Council and appointed a new director of the university, along with 2 associate directors. This constitutes a coup, an attempt by the government to take over the running of the State University. And this has resulted in a wave of protests, first within the university, but also throughout civil society, in solidarity with the students and against this takeover attempt. Professor Jean-Yves, what different groups within the university are protesting this government takeover of the State University? There are many different student groups within the various schools of study of the State University which are opposed to this government takeover. There are also women's groups such as SOFA, InfoFem, CAIFEM, human rights groups, and students' organizations. So there's a wide variety of groups fighting this government intrusion into the running of the State University. Professor Jean-Yves, tell us how these struggles have developed since August 16th. There have been many forms of protest organized since the takeover. On Friday, August 16th, a rally had been planned in front of the School of Ethnology at 3 p.m. Unfortunately, the students were prevented from rallying by a group of presidential palace guards who blocked the roads, stopped, frisked, and intimidated students as they were gathering. 2 students were allegedly struck by the guards. Then on Monday, August 19th, a march was organized from the university to the Ministry of Education. Upon arriving at the ministry, the students were pelted by rocks being thrown at them from inside the grounds of the ministry. The students were forced to retreat, but they then regrouped and started throwing rocks back at their aggressors. The success of this reply emboldened the students to stage yet another, even more massive march through the capital, planned for the following Thursday, August 22nd. Unfortunately, as the students were gathering to march, they were blocked inside the grounds of the university by a group of Aristide supporters, which had gathered just outside the grounds. The students were held hostage all day by this hostile crowd with the tacit consent of the police. People stood on top of police cars to throw bottles of urine, broken glass, rocks, and tear gas at the students inside the university grounds. But the students are still determined to keep up their struggles, and they even held a press conference to express their determination.
Et puis, des gens même te monté sous machine la police même pour te voyer gaz lacrymogène, voyer wash, yo voyer pipi, et on a quand yo voyer morceau bouteille cassé et puis yo même voyer gaz lacrymogène sous étudiants dans l'école normale. Ce qui veut dire que toute journée, pendant la journée, même étudiants eux-mêmes qui fait partie de ça, les fonds résistance ça d'ailleurs dès qu'il y a une conférence de presse pour dire que eux-mêmes il a continué mobilisation Red Marie.
Professor Jean-Yves, is there a clear majority of students opposed to the state takeover of the university?
Oui, c'est totalement visible.
Yes, quite clearly. The overwhelming majority of students are opposed to this takeover. And even though I'm just a professor, the fact of the matter is that the government is resolutely engaged in this process, but the students are just as determined to oppose it. So I don't know what's going to happen. People always say, when dealing with students, that they are like bulls without tails, because, as the saying goes, bulls with tails are afraid to go across a burning fire. So the students are determined to keep up their struggles to prevent this government takeover of the state university. We should note that another student protest in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, against these government policies is planned for this coming Thursday, September 19th. And in our upcoming program, we'll give you an update on this. So the struggle continues.
You're listening to WBAI in New York, 99.5 FM, and this is Haiti. The struggle continues.
We return now to the question of the cooperatives in Haiti. We have found Ann Hastings once again. We trust she is on the line. Hundreds of angry demonstrators took to the streets in Haiti last week, as we said before, and this is due to the collapse of these popular banks known as cooperatives earlier this year. To take a closer look at this crisis, Ann Hastings joins us. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, Kim.
Okay. Ann, can you first explain to us why alternative banks like yours and the cooperatives have sprung up in Haiti? Why don't people just use traditional banks?
Well, I think there are a number of reasons. First of all, in Haiti, as you know, there's an incredibly high unemployment rate. And that means that everyone in Haiti is a micro-entrepreneur. They have to be just in order to survive. Given that, all of those very, very small merchants need access to credit. But traditionally in Haiti, the commercial banks were not really open to those kind of people. So more and more alternatives have been springing up to the traditional commercial banks. So much so that even now some of the commercial banks are starting to enter the fray of giving very small loans to very poor people.
What are some of the alternative institutions which have emerged?
Well, first of all, what we're talking about today are what is known as credit and savings cooperatives. Right now in Haiti, the estimates are that there might have been as many as 200 to 300 of these types of cooperatives. Some of the cooperatives are organized into networks that may be sponsored by international groups. There's one network called the Desjardins Network. But in addition to the cooperatives, there are quite a few microfinance institutions now in Haiti that are run by NGOs. And they typically offer loans, and some of them offer savings. But as I said, some of the commercial banks in Haiti have even become investors in non-bank financial institutions. They're not giving microcredit through the commercial bank, but they create an alternative financial institution. Examples of those are Microcrédit National and Sojasol. And then there's one commercial bank in Haiti now called BUH, which is offering its own microcredit program within the structure of the commercial bank, and that program is known as Crédit Populaire. So really, you have to say that I've been here for 6 years, and when I got here, none of these institutions were really existing, and now there are many, many different types of institutions that are trying to serve the poor.
Again, we are speaking with Ann Hastings, director of Fonds Causé, a bank which describes itself as the alternative bank for Haiti's organized poor. And can you tell us what went wrong with the cooperatives? Why have they collapsed?
Well, first of all, I want to be clear about what has collapsed and what has not collapsed. In many countries around the world, cooperatives have been very, very important for development, and there's just no question about that. In Haiti, there are many different kinds of cooperatives. In addition to the credit and savings cooperatives, there are also what we know as cooperatives of producers of agricultural products, like there will be a coffee cooperative or a cacao cooperative or a mango cooperative. And they have really been instrumental in helping poor farmers get decent prices for their exportable products. But we're not talking about those today. Those are still existing. There's no crisis in those types of credit cooperatives. We're talking today about the savings and credit cooperatives. And there have been a whole mess of those that have sprung up over the last year that have been offering extremely high rates of interest. For instance, some of them have been offering as high as 10 to 15% interest per month. Now, living in an economy that is in such a deep depression as Haiti's is, it's absolutely impossible for anyone to be able to pay those types of interest rates. As a result, many people are describing what these are as nothing more than pyramid schemes. And in addition, there's hardly any regulation of the cooperatives, the credit and savings cooperatives. And many, many people, many very poor people, took their money out of their homes, out of any place they had stored their money, and took it to the cooperatives. Even some of the people from the diaspora closed their accounts in the U.S. to send their money down. But in recent months, many of those cooperatives have closed their doors because they're not able to continue paying their depositors. In some cases, the leadership has even fled the country with depositors' money with them. I want to stress that this is truly a tragedy in Haiti, given the economic situation in the country and the enormous numbers of poor people who have really put their life savings into a savings account. I know one gentleman sold his house just so he could put his money into one of these cooperatives. And now the prospects of him getting his money back I'm not sure he's going to be able to get his money back.
Sounds a lot like the stock market pyramid schemes here in the United States. In any case,
I think you could say that. And also, I think there have been other countries where this kind of collapse of credit and savings cooperatives has occurred. I can mention, for instance, Albania had the same kind of thing happen a few years ago.
Right. What has been the depositors' response in the governments?
Well, as you said in your opening words, there have been a lot of angry demonstrations in the country. Demonstrations have been occurring not only in Port-au-Prince, but in Okay and Jacmel and Saint-Marc and probably many other places. There's even been some organization of these depositors, and I believe the name of the organization they've put together is called the National Coordination of Victim Depositors. And they believe that earlier this summer, Aristide had suggested that he would try to reimburse the victims. So many people have been making their claims before the government and felt that they would be reimbursed before schools opened in Haiti, so that they would have the money to pay for their kids' tuition. And unfortunately, that hasn't occurred as of yet, at least as far as I know. And I don't claim to have inside knowledge of any type, but as far as I know, very few, if any, people have been reimbursed what they lost in the cooperatives.
Yeah, I understand last week the head of the largest cooperative, or one of the largest cooperatives, Cause Uni, was caught trying to leave the country across the border up by Dajabon in the northeast, and he had his family trying to flee across at another border post. They were arrested, and now people are demonstrating, calling for his release. Do you know about that?
Yes, I'm aware that happened. Again, he's not the only person who's tried to flee the country. Some of them have been successful, according to the reports that I've heard.
Finally, Anne, can you explain to us what Fonds Causé does and how it is different from a cooperative?
Yeah, Fonds Causé is, as you said, an alternative bank. We've been in existence since 1995. We have now 18 branches with over 200 employees, and all of our branches, except one in Port-au-Prince, are located in the provinces, which is where the people most need access to financial services. We have today more than 25,000 savings accounts. Our volume of deposits is more than $2.5 million US. We also have 10,000 borrowers, most of whom are women, and we give them very small loans when they're organized into solidarity groups of women. The reason that I would say that Fonds Causé is different from the cooperatives is that, first of all, we do not pay those kinds of interest rates on savings. Our interest rate is more compatible with what the rate that is being charged by the banks. For instance, on a regular savings account with Fonds Causé, we pay 2.5% per year, whereas they're paying 10 to 12% per month. But there's another important point here. We also never, by policy, have never lent out to other people the deposits that poor people put in our bank. From the beginning, we said that we didn't want to put poor people's savings at risk. So while we have loans out almost of $1 million, all of that is being financed by what we call solidarity lenders living in the United States and Europe. So all of the savings that the poor people have put on deposit with us, we are holding in banks either in Haiti or in federally insured banks in the United States. A third difference, I think, is that we really have tried very hard over the last few years to be as transparent as possible. we are one of the very few institutions in alternative financial institutions in Haiti that has been doing an external audit for the last 5 years. So every year we have a team of external auditors come in to look at our operations and tell us what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And then more than over a year ago, we actually went to the Central Bank of Haiti to sit down with them and tell them that we thought that we should be being regulated by the central bank. And so we have just in the last month submitted an application to become Haiti's first microcredit-oriented commercial bank. By doing this, we hope that we will be able to expand our operations tremendously and in the process better serve the poor. The problem is we have looked at the demand in the country for credit of this type, and we believe that we could be 6 to 7 times as big as we are today and still not even come close to meeting the demand for microcredit. So again, I want to emphasize what a tragedy this is for a country already on the verge of economic collapse. This is really hurting people very, very badly. But there are also, it is not true that all cooperatives have closed. There are some very legitimate credit and savings cooperatives out there that are providing a good service to the poor and are trying to uphold financial standards. And there are many other microfinance institutions. So Fonkoze is just one among many, but all of us can continue to grow and still not be able to meet the demand for financial services here.
Ann Hastings of Fonkoze, the Haiti's alternative bank for the organized poor. We want to thank you. We've been talking about the crisis of cooperatives in Haiti. You're listening to Haiti. The Struggle Continues on WBAI 99.5 FM in New York. We now go to a musical break.